The latest Fantastic Beasts movie adds to the Harry Potter universe and has great characters, awesome twists, and beautiful visuals. So why don't I like it? I'm starting to think that I got spoiled by the Harry Potter universe from how good the books are and how well the movies adapted them. So now that we have this new storyline with these new characters in a new setting, I might be expecting a little too much. I mean, this movie isn't bad by any stretch. It's still a good movie. It just doesn't live up to what I thought it was going to be. But to get the good stuff out of the way first, yes, the visuals are spectacular. The characters look great, the spells look great, the costumes look great, the setting looks great. Some of the new creatures they come up with in this one are a lot of fun, and I think really fill out the Harry Potter universe. I mean, they got this one long cat thing that looks like it belongs in a Chinese New Year parade. That thing, I think, was my favorite new creature. It looks great, and it has a lot of unique abilities. Plus, it's a giant cat. I mean, come on, it's awesome. The characters were also a lot of fun. Newt comes back with his awkward but still not off-putting demeanor. We get a new Dumbledore portrayed by Jude Law, and even though he's not a huge part of the movie, he's still a lot of fun. It absolutely grabs your attention every time he's on screen. My personal favorite, though, is Jacob, the Muggle from the first movie. He's back, and oh, he is still totally confused by this new wizarding world, but absolutely wants to jump in to help. Newt will give him some basic instruction to help, and it's not always clear why, but Jacob doesn't really care about that. He just comes in and says, "Yep, no problem, I'm doing the thing, I'm helping out, I'm doing the thing, look at me go!" Hands down, my favorite character in the whole series. And you get a few others. Newt's brother's in this one, his fiancée, and a few other characters that I can't really get into too much detail about for spoilers, but they are good. Everyone who's in this movie has a reason to be in this movie. I wasn't really crazy about Queenie, the blonde woman from the first movie. She's back and she's kind of annoying, but she's not badly written, at least. Okay, she's a little bit written for the plot, but she's not terrible. And there's a lot of really good visual storytelling. In a lot of scenes, and this is mostly in the end, so I'm not going to give specific details, but in a lot of scenes, sometimes it's only the camera angle that they use to really detail what's going on, or give you the background of some character's motivation. Dumbledore's relationship with Grindelwald, for example, is detailed early on, and they do very little explaining in terms of actual dialogue. A lot of their relationship is shown through text, and it's done very well. So there's really a lot of technical know-how behind this movie. So where does it go wrong? Well, I've said multiple times that characters and universe are my favorite parts of a particular story, but plot and writing are still vital, and that's where this movie falters. While this movie does a great job expanding the Harry Potter universe and introducing new characters and new creatures, it's a little bloated for its runtime. There's so much story between the character backstories and these new creatures and just the plot as it's developing that it doesn't really have time to properly develop or flesh out everything that you see. Sometimes we get some really awkward cuts, or things are started and finished, but you don't really get any kind of a middle. And that's without things just being outright confusing. I'm going to detail one example from later in the movie. I'm not going to give any specific details, but if you want to not risk spoilers, jump here. I'm just trying to make sure this is as enjoyable as it can be for everybody. But in the third act of the movie, we see Jacob come across this tunnel by himself. Well, of course, it's a magic tunnel, and a wizard stops him and points at a wand at his cheek. We see the wizard's hand, nothing else. Kind of a dramatic reveal, like, oh my god, who is that? And then hard cut. The next time we see Jacob, he's not being held at wand point or he's in a trap or anything like that. A wall splits open when Newt and a couple of others come down the same tunnel, and, well, there's Jacob just standing there. And he says, like, come on guys, let's go. And that doesn't apparently lead to anything. He's not, like, possessed or hurt or anything. It's just, were you waiting there the entire time? And sometimes the movie presents too much information and you're not able to properly grasp everything that's really happening. The long Chinese New Year cat thing that I mentioned, when Newt first captures it, he does it in the middle of this big open street. Well, up until that point, we've seen the Muggle side of Paris, where this all takes place, and the wizard side of Paris. And when he captures this thing, it's not exactly clear where he is. You see a bunch of people gather around and kind of circle up to stay away from this giant cat thing, and they react with obvious fear, so it looks like they're Muggles, but they never erase their memories, so I think they were supposed to be wizards. But the movie never actually explains it. And it wouldn't have been that bad if it weren't for the fact that they look, except for a few magical things in the air, there's no discernible difference between the Muggle world and the wizard world. One scene shows us that they actually look almost exactly the same. It's just one's got weird imp things flying around and floating candles and stuff. Now, I want to be clear, if you were a fanboy or a fangirl of the Harry Potter series, you are probably going to absolutely love this movie. I went with my girlfriend, and she is a complete fanatic, and she would not stop raving about how great a time she had. So there is still a lot of fun that can be had for the more diehard fans. It's just, I don't know if I was expecting more, or if I've hit that peak in a critic's career where everything starts to look the same and you become jaded. I don't know. But I will give the plot this, and I'm not going into any detail, but there are a lot of great reveals and developments, especially later in the movie. A lot of thought went into developing the plot in this movie, just not enough thought went into actually writing it for a fresh audience. Still, not a bad time to be had. If you really enjoy the Harry Potter series, you'll like this movie. I'm probably going to be on the lower end of things here in terms of rating. I would give it just like a 3 out of 5. Not a bad time, and if it were a book, it would probably be a lot better. But we've seen far superior stuff out of the Harry Potter series before.